The suitcase handle slipped out of my fingers before my brain even understood what my eyes were seeing. It hit the stone path with a crack that sounded too loud for a quiet Connecticut evening. The wheels scraped, then went still, crooked on the flagstone like a broken limb. I didn't move to fix it. I couldn't. My hand just hung there in the air, fingers curled around nothing, as if my body was still convinced I was holding on to something solid. For a second, all I noticed was the air. The way the cold late October breeze crept under my blazer. The faint smell of burning wood from some neighbor's fireplace. The distant hum of a leaf blower further down the street. Normal, suburban sounds. Normal, suburban smells. The kind of background noise you stop hearing after a few years. Then I heard his laugh. It floated around the side of the house from the backyard. Warm. Familiar. The laugh that used to belong to me. It was followed by a softer sound, a woman's voice, light and tinkling, wrapped around his name like it had every right to hold it. Michael, stop, she giggled. You're going to make me cry. Claire. My neighbor's voice. My friend's voice. The woman I'd helped move in 6 months ago. The woman I'd given my old wine glasses to because she didn't have anything nice left after the divorce. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears, a thick, muffled thud that drowned out everything else. The handle of the suitcase dug into my ankle where it had fallen, but I barely felt it. My fingers were tingling. My mouth was dry. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe they were just talking. Maybe Lily was out there too. Maybe. I forced my feet to move. One step. Gravel shifting under my heels. Another step. The side gate loomed in front of me, half open, the wood still chipped from the last storm. Someone had left it unlatched. I pushed it the rest of the way with the back of my hand, because suddenly my palms felt too sweaty to touch anything. The first thing I saw was the candles. 3 of them, thick white pillars and glass hurricanes, flickering on the patio table. Their flames danced in the breeze, throwing gold light onto the stone and the 2 wine glasses beside them. One glass was half full of red. The other had a lipstick stain I didn't recognize. Then I saw them. Michael was sitting on the outdoor love seat, his body turned toward Claire. His head was slightly bowed, like he was listening closely. Her eyes were shiny, lower lip trembling in that way she had when she talked about her ex-husband. She was leaning in, shoulders hunched, as if the whole world had narrowed to the man sitting in front of her. And his hand. His hand was wrapped around hers on the cushion between them. Not resting. Not casual. Fingers threaded through fingers, knuckles pressed together. His thumb moved in slow, gentle strokes over the back of her hand like he was soothing her. Like she belonged there. Like I had never existed. My throat closed. For a heartbeat, neither of them noticed me. I had time to catalog every detail. The familiar navy sweater he wore when he worked from home. The way his hair fell over his forehead, a little messy, like she'd run her fingers through it. The soft smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. The same smile he used to give me when I'd come home late from the city and he'd say, "There she is. My girl." Claire's eyes flicked past him first. She saw me standing in the doorway of the yard, my blazer still on, laptop bag slung over my shoulder, suitcase abandoned behind me. Her whole body jerked. A strangled sound escaped her throat, somewhere between a gasp and a whisper. "Emma." Michael turned. Time stretched, then snapped. His face went through 3 expressions in less than a second. Confusion. Shock. Guilt. His fingers tightened around hers before he realized what he was doing. I saw the squeeze. I saw the instinct. It was burned into my brain before he finally let go, their hands separating like they'd been glued together. "Emma," he started, standing up so fast the wine glass wobbled. His voice sounded wrong in my ears, too high, too thin. "Emma, wait. It's not what it looks like." But to understand why I was standing there in tears, we have to go back to the beginning. Not the beginning of my marriage, though that matters too. We have to go back 3 months. To early July, when the moving truck pulled up next door and I met the woman who would unravel my entire life without even trying. It was a Saturday. One of those perfect summer mornings in Greenwich where the lawns are so green they look fake and everyone's out power washing their driveways like it's a competition. Michael and I were on our front porch drinking coffee, his black, mine with oat milk because I'd read some article about inflammation, when the truck rumbled past our mailbox and backed into the driveway next door. The house had been empty for 4 months. The previous owners, an older couple, had moved to Florida after their kids graduated. Standard suburban exodus. We'd been joking about who'd move in next. Michael said it would probably be another finance guy who commuted to the city. I said it would be a young family with 3 kids under 5 who'd make us feel old. We were both wrong. The woman who stepped out of a silver Honda CR-V looked like she belonged in a yogurt commercial. Mid-30s, long honey blonde hair pulled into one of those effortless messy buns that actually takes 15 minutes to perfect. Athleisure outfit, black leggings, oversized cream sweater, white sneakers that had never touched dirt. She looked tired but beautiful in that way that made you want to hand her a glass of wine and ask if she was okay. A little girl climbed out of the back seat clutching a stuffed unicorn. Maybe 6 years old. Dark curls, big brown eyes, pink light-up sneakers. We should go say hi, I said, already setting down my mug. Michael groaned. They just got here. Let them breathe. It's called being neighborly, I said, nudging his shoulder. Come on. We're bringing the welcome committee energy. He laughed and followed me across the lawn. That's the thing I keep coming back to. I walked us right into it. I was the one who said hello first. I was the one who smiled and introduced myself while she looked frazzled and overwhelmed, trying to stop the movers from denting her furniture. I was the one who invited her over for dinner that night because you shouldn't have to cook on your first day. Her name was Claire Morrison. Divorced. Moved from Stamford after what she called a really ugly split. Her daughter's name was Lily. She was sweet and shy and held on to her mom's leg the entire time we talked. Michael crouched down to Lily's level and asked about the unicorn. Does she have a name? Lily whispered something I couldn't hear. Sparkles? Michael said, grinning. That's a perfect name. And just like that, Claire's whole face softened. She doesn't usually talk to strangers. I have one of those faces, Michael said, standing back up. Extremely trustworthy. Like a golden retriever in human form. Claire laughed. It was a real laugh, the kind that surprised her, like she'd forgotten what it felt like. I remember thinking, good. She needs this. She needs people who'll be kind to her. I didn't think, watch out. I didn't think, this woman is lonely and beautiful and you're about to hand her your husband on a silver platter. I just thought she needed a friend. That night, Claire came over with a bottle of wine and an apology. I'm so sorry, I know this is too much. You don't have to keep being nice to me. Are you kidding? I said, pulling her inside. We're boring. You're doing us a favor. Lily sat on our living room floor coloring while the 3 of us talked over pasta and too much Pinot Grigio. Claire told us about her ex-husband, how he'd cheated with a co-worker, how the divorce had drained her savings, how she'd wanted to start over somewhere new. I just need to be around normal people again, she said, her voice cracking slightly. People who aren't trying to destroy me. Michael refilled her glass without asking. You're safe here. This street's boring in the best way. Biggest drama we've had all year was when the Hendersons painted their shutters the wrong shade of gray. She smiled. I think I'm going to like it here. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. You will. We'll make sure of it. And we did. Over the next few weeks, Claire became part of the fabric of our lives. She'd text me during the day, funny memes, questions about where to get good takeout, pictures of Lily doing something cute. I'd invite her to our Friday night wine sessions with the other neighbors. Michael helped her set up her Wi-Fi, then her printer, then fixed a leaky faucet in her kitchen when the landlord didn't show up. "You don't have to do all this," Claire said one afternoon, watching him tighten something under her sink. "It's really not a big deal," Michael said, wiping his hands on a rag. "What else am I going to do? I work from home. I have time." And he did. That was the thing. Michael had always been the flexible one in our marriage. I was the one racing to catch the 6:47 train into Grand Central every morning, sitting in back-to-back meetings, answering emails at midnight. He worked as a freelance software consultant, good money, low stress, total autonomy. He could take a call in his pajamas or go for a run at 2 in the afternoon if he wanted. It used to be something I loved about him. How unbothered he was. How steady. But somewhere in those early weeks with Claire, I started noticing things. Like how he'd smile at his phone during dinner, and when I asked who it was, he'd say, "Oh, just Claire. She's asking if we know a good pediatrician for Lily." Or how he'd mention, casually, that he'd grabbed lunch with her while I was at work. She was having a rough day. I figured she could use the company. Or how when I came home one Thursday evening, exhausted from a client presentation that went sideways, Michael was in the backyard grilling burgers for Claire and Lily. "Surprise," he said when he saw me. "I invited them over. Hope that's cool." It was cool. Of course it was cool. Claire was my friend too. Lily was adorable. We ate outside under the string lights Michael had hung last summer, and everyone laughed, and it felt warm and easy and nice. But later that night, lying in bed, I felt something I couldn't name. Not jealousy. Not yet. Just distance. Like I was watching my own life from the outside and couldn't figure out how to step back in. "You okay?" Michael asked, half asleep beside me. "Yeah," I said. "Just tired." "You work too hard," he murmured, rolling over to kiss my shoulder. "You need to slow down." I wanted to say, "Maybe you need to speed up." I wanted to say, "When's the last time you planned a surprise dinner for me?" Instead, I said nothing. I closed my eyes and told myself I was being ridiculous. Michael was a good man. A good man. The kind who helped people. The kind who didn't keep score. That's why I married him. But as I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't shake the image of him and Claire laughing over the grill, their heads bent close, their voices low and easy like they'd known each other for years instead of weeks. It wasn't a red flag. Not yet. But it was something. And I ignored it. The first real crack appeared on a Tuesday in late August. I was in the back of an Uber heading to LaGuardia for a 2-day conference in Chicago. My phone had died somewhere between printing my boarding pass and arguing with our marketing director about Q4 budgets, so I'd grabbed Michael's from the kitchen counter before he woke up. I wasn't snooping. I want to be clear about that. I wasn't looking for anything. I just needed to call a car. But when I unlocked his screen, passcode still my birthday, which made me feel stupid later, a text notification dropped down from the top. "Claire House with Garden, thanks for yesterday. Lily won't stop talking about you. You're incredible." I stared at it while the Uber driver asked if I wanted him to take the hutch or stick to 95. "Sorry, what?" I said. "The highway. Traffic's bad either way but." "Whatever's fastest," I said, my voice sounding far away. I read the text again. "Thanks for yesterday." Yesterday was Monday. I'd left the house at 6:30 a.m. and didn't get home until almost 9. Michael said he'd worked from home all day. We'd eaten leftover Thai food in front of Netflix and he'd fallen asleep on the couch before the episode even finished. He hadn't mentioned Claire. He hadn't mentioned Lily. My thumb hovered over the message thread. I could open it. I could scroll up and see the whole conversation. But something stopped me, some combination of guilt and fear and the horrible certainty that once I looked, I couldn't unlook. Instead, I locked the screen and shoved the phone into my bag. When I landed in Chicago 3 hours later, I texted him from my own phone. Me, hey, what did you do yesterday? I feel like we barely talked. His response came within 2 minutes. Michael, just worked. Boring day. How's Chicago? Just worked. Not a lie, exactly. But not the truth either. I told myself it didn't matter. So he'd taken Lily for ice cream or something. So what? That's the kind of thing Michael did. He was thoughtful. He was present. He showed up for people. But the feeling in my chest didn't go away. The second crack came a week later, over brunch with my best friend Jenna. We met at our usual spot in Soho, overpriced avocado toast, bottomless mimosas, and a corner table where we could talk without being overheard. Jenna worked in PR and had the kind of sharp, no-nonsense energy that made people either love her or avoid her entirely. I'd known her since college. She'd been a bridesmaid at my wedding. So how's suburban paradise? She asked, stabbing a piece of smoked salmon. It's fine, I said. Same as always. She raised an eyebrow. That was the least convincing fine I've ever heard. I sighed and set down my fork. It's nothing. It's stupid. Try me. So I told her. About Claire. About how Michael had been spending time with her and Lily. About the text I'd seen. About how he hadn't mentioned it. Jenna listened without interrupting, which was unusual for her. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. She said slowly. I'm going to say this because I love you, and because someone needs to. Men don't just help a hot single mom multiple times a week. Especially not when their wife is traveling for work. Jenna. I'm serious. You said she's pretty, right? Yeah. But that's not, Michael's not like that. Like what? A man? Jenna's voice wasn't mean, just blunt. Babe, I'm not saying he's sleeping with her. I'm saying you need to pay attention. Because right now, he's getting all the fun parts of being with her, playing hero, being needed, getting praised, and none of the hard parts. That's a dangerous combination. You don't know him, I said, defensive. He's a good person. He wouldn't. Good people cheat too, Jenna said quietly. They just feel guiltier about it afterward. I wanted to argue. I wanted to tell her she was wrong, that she was projecting because her own ex had cheated on her with his personal trainer. But instead, I just felt sick. What am I supposed to do? I asked. Accuse him of something that might not even be happening? No, Jenna said. You pay attention. You ask questions. You trust your gut. She reached across the table and squeezed my hand. And if your gut is telling you something's off, it probably is. I started watching after that. Not in an obvious way. I didn't go through his phone again or hire a private investigator or anything crazy like that. I just noticed. I noticed that his car was always in the driveway when I got home, but he was never actually in the house. I'd find him in Claire's yard, fixing something. Hanging a bird feeder. Trimming a hedge. Once, I watched from the kitchen window as he pushed Lily on a tire swing in their backyard, both of them laughing so hard I could hear it through the glass. Claire stood on her porch watching them, arms crossed, smiling like she'd just won something. I noticed that Michael showered as soon as I walked in the door now. Always. Like clockwork. He'd kiss me on the cheek, say, long day, I'm disgusting, and disappear upstairs before I could ask him anything. I noticed his phone was always face down. On the counter. On the couch. On his nightstand. Always. And I noticed he was happy. In a way he hadn't been in months. Maybe longer. He hummed while making coffee. He smiled at nothing. He seemed lighter, looser, like someone had lifted a weight I hadn't realized he was carrying. I should have been happy for him. Instead, I felt like I was disappearing. One night in early September, I came home early. I hadn't planned to. A client meeting got canceled last minute, so instead of staying late at the office, I caught the 4:15 train and walked in the door at 5:30. Michael? I called, dropping my bag on the bench in the entryway. No answer. His laptop was open on the kitchen table, screensaver bouncing. His coffee mug was still half full. The back door was ajar. I walked to the window and looked out. He was in Claire's backyard again. This time, he wasn't fixing anything. He was just sitting with her on the porch steps, their shoulders almost touching, talking. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could see their body language. The way she leaned toward him. The way he tilted his head, listening like whatever she was saying was the most important thing in the world. Then she laughed, this bright, full-bodied laugh, and touched his arm. Her hand rested there for 2 seconds. Maybe 3. Long enough that it wasn't an accident. Michael didn't pull away. I stood frozen at the window, my reflection staring back at me in the glass. I looked pale. Tired. Old. When Michael finally came home 20 minutes later, I was sitting at the kitchen table pretending to answer emails. Hey, he said, surprised. You're home early. Meeting got canceled, I said without looking up. Oh. Cool. He opened the fridge, grabbed a LaCroix. Did you eat? I can throw something together. Where were you? The question came out sharper than I meant it to. He paused, can halfway to his mouth. I was just next door. Claire needed help with. Claire needed help with what, Michael? His jaw tightened. With her gutters. They were clogged. At 5:30 at night. Yeah, Emma. At 5:30 at night. Is that a problem? I don't know, I said, meeting his eyes. Is it? For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air between us felt thick, charged. What are you asking me? He said finally. I'm asking why you spend more time with her than you do with me. That's not, he stopped, ran a hand through his hair. That's not fair. You're never here. You're in the city 12 hours a day. You travel twice a month. I'm not allowed to have friends? Friends don't touch your arm like that. The words were out before I could stop them. Michael's face changed. Confusion. Then anger. Are you seriously accusing me of something right now? I don't know what I'm accusing you of, I said, my voice breaking. I feel like I'm losing you and I don't know how to stop it. His expression softened. He set down the can and came around the table, crouching beside my chair. He said gently. You're not losing me. I'm right here. Are you? He took my hands. Yes. I swear. Claire is, she's going through a hard time. I'm just trying to help. That's it. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to believe him. Okay, I whispered. He kissed my forehead. I love you. Only you. But when he stood up and walked away, I saw his phone light up on the counter. Claire House with Garden, you left your keys here. And I knew, deep in my bones, that Jenna was right. Something was happening. And I was running out of time to stop it. I almost didn't see the envelope on the kitchen counter the next morning. It was tucked under my laptop bag, cream-colored and expensive-looking, with my name written across the front in Michael's careful handwriting. The kind of handwriting he used for important things, birthday cards, thank you notes to my parents, the vows he'd written for our wedding. I opened it standing up, still holding my coffee. Inside was a reservation confirmation. Printed out, not just forwarded via email. The River House. Saturday, October 14th, 7:30 p.m. Party of 2. The River House was where we'd had our first date. Back when I was 28 and he was 30, both of us pretending to be more sophisticated than we were, ordering wine we couldn't pronounce and laughing when the waiter corrected us. I hadn't thought about that place in years. I turned the paper over. On the back, in the same careful script, I know I've been distant. Let me fix this. Happy anniversary. Our anniversary. October 14th. 7 years. I'd completely forgotten. That Saturday, I took the afternoon off. Got my hair blown out at the place in town that cost too much but made you feel like a different person. Wore the black dress that still fit if I didn't breathe too deeply. Heels I hadn't touched since before the pandemic. Michael picked me up at 7, actually picked me up, like we were dating again, and opened the car door for me like he used to. You look beautiful, he said. I wanted to make a joke, something self-deprecating about Spanx or the miracle of good lighting, but the look on his face stopped me. He meant it. You clean up okay yourself, I said instead. He grinned, and for a second, he looked like the man I'd married. The one who used to leave post-it notes on my dashboard before I left for work. The one who'd learned to make my grandmother's lasagna from scratch because he knew it made me homesick. The river house hadn't changed. Same low lighting, same candles on every table, same jazz quartet playing in the corner. We were seated at a table by the window overlooking the water, and the host, an older man with a French accent I was 90% sure was fake, smiled knowingly as he pulled out my chair. Special occasion? He asked. 7 years, Michael said. Ah. The whole anniversary. I laughed. That's a thing? Everything is a thing if you Google it, Michael said, pouring me a glass of wine from the bottle he'd apparently pre-ordered. Sancerre. My favorite. For the first hour, it was easy. We talked about work, my work, mostly, because I'd just landed a huge account that had been in negotiation for months. Michael asked all the right questions, remembered the names of the clients I'd been complaining about, celebrated with me in the way he always had. Then the food came, duck for him, halibut for me, and the conversation drifted into memory. Do you remember what you ordered that first night? He asked. The risotto, I said. It was terrible. I pretended to like it because I didn't want you to think I was high maintenance. I knew it was terrible, he said, laughing. You kept adding salt when you thought I wasn't looking. You noticed? Emma, I noticed everything about you. The past tense hung in the air between us. He cleared his throat and reached into his jacket pocket. For one insane second, I thought he was going to propose again, even though we were already married. But instead, he pulled out a folded piece of paper. I wrote you something, he said, suddenly looking nervous. It's not. I'm not a writer, but here. He handed it to me. I unfolded it carefully, like it might disintegrate. The handwriting was Messier this time, like he'd written it quickly, maybe late at night. Emma. I know I haven't been the husband you deserve lately. I've been distracted. I've been taking you for granted. I've been so focused on trying to help everyone else that I forgot the person who's always been there, who's always carried us. You work so hard. You're so driven, so smart, so capable, and sometimes I think I resent that. Not because I don't admire you, I do. But because it makes me feel small. Like I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not enough. So I filled that space with other things. Other people. I convinced myself I was being a good person, a good neighbor, a good friend. But the truth is, I was avoiding the fact that I didn't know how to be a good husband anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made you feel invisible. I'm sorry I made you doubt us. I'm sorry I didn't see what I was doing until I almost lost you. You are my North Star, Em. You always have been. And I promise, I swear to you, I'm going to do better. Starting now. I love you. I love you so much it scares me sometimes. Em. I read it twice. Then a third time, because my eyes kept blurring. When I looked up, Michael was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite name. Hope, maybe. Or fear. You didn't almost lose me, I said, my voice thick. Didn't I? I folded the letter carefully and set it down on the table. I don't want to fight anymore. Neither do I. But I need to know, I stopped, the words catching. I need to know it's really over. Whatever was happening with Claire. He reached across the table and took my hand. Nothing was happening. But I see now how it looked. How it felt. I ended it. Ended what? The friendship. Whatever it was. He exhaled hard. I told her I needed to take a step back. That I wasn't being fair to you. She understood. I wanted to ask more. I wanted to know exactly what he'd said, what she'd said, whether she'd cried or argued or agreed too easily. But I didn't. Because part of me didn't want to know. Okay, I said instead. Okay? Okay. He smiled, this fragile, tentative thing, and squeezed my hand. I want to try for a baby again. The words hit me like cold water. What? I know we said we'd wait, he said quickly. I know the timing's not perfect. But I don't want to wait anymore. I want a family with you. I want us to build something real. My throat tightened. We'd been trying on and off for 2 years, half-heartedly, the way people do when they're not quite ready to admit they're not quite ready. We'd talked about IVF once, but I'd gotten promoted right after and the conversation had died. You really want this? I asked. I really want this, he said. With you. Only you. That night, we went home and made love for the first time in what felt like months. Maybe longer. It wasn't desperate or frantic, it was slow, deliberate, like we were remembering each other. Relearning. Afterward, lying in the dark with his arm around me, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Peace. I love you, I whispered into his chest. I love you too, he said, kissing the top of my head. I believed him. The next 2 weeks were different. Michael was present. He'd stopped going over to Claire's. He started cooking dinner again, nothing fancy, just pasta or stir-fry, but it was the effort that mattered. He'd wait for me to get home before eating, even if I was late. He asked about my day and actually listened to the answer. We went for walks after dinner, the kind we used to take when we first moved to Greenwich and everything felt new and full of possibility. We held hands. We laughed at stupid things. One night, I caught him looking at baby names on his laptop. Already? I teased. He grinned. Just browsing. I kissed him, and for the first time in months, I felt like maybe we were going to be okay. I stopped checking his phone. I stopped watching out the window. I stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. I told Jenna I'd been overreacting. Good, she said, though she didn't sound entirely convinced. Just, keep your eyes open, okay? I will, I promised. But I didn't. Because I wanted so badly to believe we'd fixed it. That love and intention and one good dinner could stitch back together everything that had come unraveled. I wanted to believe the story was over. But the truth was, it had barely started. And the worst part, the part one didn't see coming, was that when everything finally fell apart, I'd be the one holding the match. The conference was supposed to be 3 days. Boston. Some corporate leadership summit my firm had been pushing all the senior directors to attend. Trust falls and vision boards and keynote speakers who charged 5 figures to tell you to disrupt your paradigm. I'd packed Thursday night, business casual, gym clothes I'd never use, the good laptop charger, and kissed Michael goodbye Friday morning before my 6 a.m. Uber. Knock 'em dead, he'd said, still half asleep. I'll try not to die of boredom first, I'd said. He'd laughed and rolled over, and I'd closed the door quietly behind me. That was the last normal moment. The email came at 4:47 p.m. on Friday. I was sitting in a windowless conference room listening to a panel on authentic leadership in the digital age when my phone buzzed. The subject line made my stomach drop, urgent, summit cancelled. I opened it. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the remainder of the Boston Leadership Summit has been cancelled effective immediately. All remaining sessions are postponed. We apologize for the inconvenience. Around me, 24 other confused executives were getting the same message. People started standing, making calls, rearranging travel. I sat frozen for a moment, my brain trying to recalibrate. I could go home. I could surprise Michael. We could have the whole weekend together, the kind of lazy Saturday morning we used to have, before life got complicated. Coffee in bed. Farmer's market. Maybe even start painting the guest room we'd been talking about turning into a nursery. I texted him. Me, conference got cancelled. Coming home tonight. Should be there by 8. I watched the screen. The little dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Michael, oh wow. That's great. Can't wait, red heart. Something about the response felt off. Too enthusiastic. But I shook it off and booked a flight. I landed at 7:15. No delays, no lost luggage, no traffic on 95. For once, the universe was cooperating. I thought about calling Michael from the car to tell him I was close, but I wanted to surprise him. I imagined walking through the door, seeing his face light up. Maybe we'd order Thai food. Maybe we'd open that expensive bottle of wine we'd been saving. The Uber dropped me off at 7:52. The house was quiet but lit up, kitchen light on, living room glowing. Michael's car was in the driveway. Everything looked normal. I grabbed my suitcase and walked up to the front door, keys already in my hand. That's when I heard it. Laughter. Coming from the backyard. Not just Michael's laugh. A woman's voice, too. Light and familiar. My hand froze on the doorknob. I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he'd invited the neighbors over. Maybe it was a last-minute thing. Maybe. But my feet were already moving. Down the driveway. Past the garage. Around the side of the house where the gate was propped open with a rock. I stopped at the edge of the yard. The first thing I saw were the candles. 3 thick pillars in glass hurricanes, flickering on the patio table. Wine glasses. A half-empty bottle of red. Soft music playing from the outdoor speaker, something I didn't recognize, jazzy and intimate. Then I saw them. Michael was sitting on the outdoor love seat. Claire was next to him, close enough that their knees were touching. She was crying, not hard, but enough that her mascara had smudged. And Michael was holding her hand. Not just touching it. Holding it. Fingers laced together like they'd done this 100 times before. His thumb moving in slow circles over her knuckles. I couldn't breathe. For a few seconds, they didn't notice me. I watched Michael lean closer and say something too quiet for me to hear. Claire nodded, wiping her eyes with her free hand. She said something back, and he smiled, this soft, tender smile I hadn't seen in months. The smile he used to save for me. My suitcase slipped from my hand and hit the flagstone with a crack. Both of them jumped. Claire saw me first. Her whole body went rigid. Emma. Michael turned, and I watched his face drain of color in real time. Confusion. Shock. Panic. He let go of her hand, finally, but it was too late. I'd seen it. I'd seen everything. Emma, he said, standing so fast he nearly knocked over a wine glass. Emma, wait. It's not what it looks like. I couldn't speak. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. My brain was trying to process what I was seeing, trying to find an explanation that made sense, but all I could focus on was the way their hands had been tangled together. Then what the hell is it, Michael? I finally managed, my voice breaking. We were just talking. Talking? I repeated, my voice rising. You were holding her hand. Claire stood up too, tears streaming down her face now. Emma, please. Let us explain. Us? The word came out like a slap. There's an us? That's not. Michael took a step toward me, hands raised like I was a wild animal he needed to calm. That's not what she meant. Don't come near me. I stepped back, and he froze. For a moment, no one moved. The jazz music kept playing, absurdly cheerful. The candles flickered. Somewhere down the street, a dog barked. How long? I asked quietly. Emma. How long? Michael's jaw worked. Nothing happened. I swear to God, nothing physical. I didn't ask if you slept with her, I said, my voice shaking. I asked how long you've been doing this. Whatever this is. He looked at Claire. She looked at the ground. 2 months, Claire whispered. 2 months. The anniversary dinner had been 3 weeks ago. He'd written me a letter. He'd promised me it was over. He'd looked me in the eye and told me he wanted to have a baby. And the whole time, he'd been lying. You said you ended it, I said to Michael. You told me. I tried, he said desperately. I did. But Claire was going through something and I couldn't just. Couldn't just what? I shouted. Couldn't just stop holding her hand? Couldn't just stop sneaking around? Couldn't just remember you have a wife? I never forgot about you. Then why does it feel like I don't exist? My voice cracked, and I hated myself for it. Why does it feel like you'd rather be here, with her, than anywhere with me? Michael's face crumpled. That's not true. Isn't it? I looked at Claire, who was crying openly now. What is this? What are you to him? She wiped her face. I didn't mean for this to happen. I was just lonely, and he was kind, and it felt like. Like what? I pressed. Like he was yours? She didn't answer. She didn't have to. I turned back to Michael. Do you love her? No, he said immediately. No, Emma, I love you. Do you love her? I asked again, slower this time. He hesitated. That hesitation was the answer. It lasted maybe 2 seconds, but it might as well have been a lifetime. I saw it all in that tiny pause, the truth he didn't want to admit, the feelings he'd been trying to deny, the choice he'd already made without realizing it. I don't know, he finally whispered. I felt something inside me break. Not my heart, that felt too small, too neat. It was bigger than that. It was the entire foundation of my life cracking open. Okay, I said. Okay? Michael repeated, confused. Okay, I said again, backing toward the gate. I can't do this right now. Emma, wait. Don't follow me. I turned and walked back to the front of the house. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock my car. I heard Michael calling my name, heard his footsteps on the gravel, but I didn't stop. I got in the driver's seat, started the engine, and pulled out of the driveway. In the rearview mirror, I saw him standing in the middle of the street, still calling after me. I didn't look back.